tell Cameron that
My
I like how the chicken wings, this is my review, the chicken wings I give it a 10 out of 10. I'll tell you why. Because the chicken was succulent and tender. It tastes like it came from a two-parent family, like it grew up with mum. It tastes like it grew up with mum and dad. Like,
and grandparents.
Yeah, grandparents.
I'm done with you.
The way I was eating chicken and it just touched my palate.
Just remember, Cameron's Kitchen is available for catering orders, private catering.
Does he do
bookings,
funerals? Does he do funerals?
Funerals, weddings, christenings, birthdays.
What about bar mitzvah? I've got a couple of Jewish
Bar
friends.
mitzvahs, everything's halal. Proud that we're here at the book launch on Life and Venus. Are you happy to be here, ladies and gentlemen? Can you clap your hand roll out? So how am I going to do this? Big man, you give me the seat, yeah? Can you turn the book around?
Of course. Of course. Now, I want to ask you a couple of questions. And I want a couple of excerpts from this. But first of all, ladies and gents, has anyone purchased theirs tonight?
Yes. Who was in the process of doing that? Yeah.
Because I need to make sure that it's signed and all of that. What's the retail price for this?
$8.99.
$8.99. So I can't shot it on one of my.
Today's price is £5. So.
Okay, so I can't shot it for like £15 like that.
No, you can't.
No, you know what, Auntie? No, because
the money's coming to me.
When it's her first book, when she busts like J.K. Rowling, when you get the signed copy, you know how much?
I know the one. I know.
You can sell that.
No, but you know I've got some Nigerian man that sell books all over the country.
That's where you're going wrong.
What am I? Is there any Nigerians that don't want to get in any trouble? Any Nigerians? No trouble. None of you Igbos and Yorubas like turning on me like that. None of them. You know what I mean? But you know what? More importantly, I'm so proud. Now, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Yeah. Like, for example, what inspired you to write the book?
Me? Sorry, I'm on
Well, what inspired you? What drew you out? I mean, to bring your thoughts to the page.
Well, after many years of writing randomly, I just wanted to put them all somewhere. And I wanted something to show for it.
Yeah.
And there's many things that I've written from childhood that I don't have now. I used to write in my maths books, and I don't have. There's a lot of things that I've lost and I don't have. So I wanted to first of all start keeping them somewhere where I'd always have them, and then they just started to. I just like to start grouping them, and then they became a book.
But why Life on Venus? Why the title Life on Venus?
Because the saying "men are from Mars, women are from Venus."
Is that true? Does the crowd agree with that? That men are from Mars, women are from Venus?
Absolutely. There's no explanation.
Well, I think they seem to be going to Mars, so they must.
I think you make a good point there, bro. I think it's true, you know. You make a good point. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Women are just crazy, innit? Tell the truth, ladies. You women are just crazy. You just see things from a different.
Women
misunderstood.
Are misunderstood. Exactly. So we're from two different planets. Yeah. So I'm writing obviously from a feminine point of view. So it's life.
Yep.
On Venus.
Okay, what have you learned about life on Venus so far? So far, before we even touch a couple of verses from the book, what have you learned about life on Venus? What does Venus mean to you?
Venus is a place that is forever evolving, as life is. As you go through life, you will constantly learn new things that will help you with whatever trials and tribulations you come onto. So what I hope that everybody gets from the book is that as you progress through it and as you go through the different parts, you start to see the progression.
So what type of journey are you taking the reader on? Because this is...
It's a deep journey. That book's quite deep. It's heavy. You're going to need wine when you read it.
Why wine? You know, where my family are from in Portland, we're rum drinkers, you understand? And we hold brandy. Tell the truth, Auntie. Why you give me that look? Don't we drink brandy first? Alright, let's take two more.
Whatever you drink is going to need to be straight, right?
Right.
Whatever libations suit you is what you'll need. It's quite a heavy book, it's quite deep. But yeah.
What part of this, or what part of the book would you say hit you the most when you were writing? What part of the book would you say, to this moment, if you look at that page, it literally hits a chord with you?
All of them.
Alright, so give me one of them.
Look, I can read one of them.
I'll want you to read one of them for us. If you want to hear her read one of them, just click your finger for me real loud, please.
I will read.
You know I've got back my talk. I'm here holding book in my hand, I ain't even paying for mine yet. So I'm paying for two. Come here, shall pay for our two. Yeah? There you go. We're not putting it aside. Yeah, definitely sign it. So I know my younger cousin will take that money real quick. You know,
Absolutely.
So this one is called Her, and this is one of the few personal poems. So they're not all personal. But this one, I think, I wrote this to sort of try to put on paper me and the way my mind works and the reasons why I write. So yeah, this is Her. I often contemplate the space I'm in and allow my mind to fly. It soars through my subconscious and my imagination runs wild. I replay moments past and try to perfect what should have been, conversations I would have had if I could relive the scene. I focus too hard on my future self and how I want to progress, haunted by the past and certain experiences I'd rather forget. I consciously overthink things and then they play on my mind. Writing it down has a way of helping me accept them over time. Opinionated as I am, no doubt my arguments are seamless, though when articulated in voice, I often end up speechless. I'm an emotional reactor and my heart activates before my brain, but a logical way of thinking when I've thought to keep my feelings contained. If you delve into my mind, you'll find the paradise of a hoarder, as I obsess over details until I can find some sort of order. The way things tumble out sometimes is down to trial and error, but given a pen and some paper, my world becomes much clearer.
Okay, I didn't know you were going to go in like that. Wow.
Testimony.
I tell you.
Testimony.
You sound like you're ready for church and offering. We did talk about the testimony.
Exactly.
So can I ask, what is it about trauma? Because this is not only deep, but we're in an era right now where a lot of people are affected by trauma, and they don't know how to deal with the traumas of the past or the trauma of the present.
Yeah.
So what is the benefit of the pen to the paper to communicate your thoughts?
For me, growing up, I found that I wasn't best at expressing the way I felt verbally, as I'm sure my mum can
Very true.
support.
Yeah, you mash up things?
No, but I keep things contained, and I don't necessarily know how to express what it is that I'm thinking verbally in the moment.
Right.
I've never been very good at that. But when I think about it and I write about it, I can write about it creatively.
Yeah.
And yeah, it turns itself into, whether it's poetry, whether it's song lyrics, that's how it started out.
Does it feel therapeutic though?
100%. It's a way of releasing it.
Okay, I want to ask the audience a couple of questions, our friends and family. Is there any questions? Because I can go on and ask about 15 questions based on what I've read. But I would like a question. I would like a couple of questions from the crowd in terms of what are your thoughts about, one, the fact that she's even achieved putting this together. This is incredible. In fact, can I ask your name, because I don't know your name?
Letitia.
Letitia, how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
And what is your question?
I wanted to ask you how you're feeling about releasing it, because I write too, and when I first started my blog, I was scared. I had anxiety for 2 weeks. So how are you feeling when your work is actually going to the world?
Good question.
Extremely scared. I'm not a person that shares things, especially publicly. And it wasn't until lockdown that I started to. And different people over the past sort of, I guess, 18 months to 2 years had kept telling me, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to put yourself out there a bit more. My sister's one of them. So it's like I took a small step, took little baby steps, and just sort of checking what the reaction is. At first, I sent sort of a couple of poems to friends, and I had good feedback, but I thought, well, they're my friends, they're not going to tell me, you know, they're just going to tell me it's good. So I put it out into social media. People are brutally honest on social media, and I do know people that are poets, and so I got in touch with some of them, and I did sort of some workshops over the COVID period. A lot of them are virtual, so it was quite easy to get to. There was no excuses, you know. I couldn't use, I've got no childcare. I couldn't use that as an excuse. Couldn't use work as an excuse because I was on furlough. And again, I had good feedback from them. So that's when I was like, no, we're doing it. We're doing this. And it's nice to have something that is, to me, it's always been a hobby. It then got turned into a passion, and now it's something tangible. I'm a person, I have lots of ideas, I'm always doing something different, but to actually have a finished product is different for me, so I'm happy that I've actually achieved that.
Can I ask another question? Have you done any of your amazing poetry before a crowd? Because I've watched you on Insta, I've watched you and I've seen the likes, crazy. I don't know, anyone seen her on Insta? Yeah, off the chain, but have you not done it before a crowd?
No.
Are you nervous to do it before a crowd?
I don't like performing. So that's one thing that's always held me back. I get very nervous. Even doing this is nerve-wracking to me. I had a couple of drinks and that's kind of helping. But performing for me has always been something that's held me back. The thing is with lockdown, performances were online. So I could go on Instagram Live and I couldn't see anybody else watching me, and that made it a bit easier. I couldn't see people's reactions, which was helpful.
Are you prepared to do it for a live audience?
I just did it. That's the first time.
Do you think she's good live? Because I'm about to ask her a big question in front of you. Do you think she's good live? Yes. All right, so would you be happy to perform at Fairfield Halls with me on Monday?
I'm going to ask for her. Yeah.
I'm thinking about childcare.
What time on Monday?
Monday, so I will send you the flyer. Already 900 people have booked to be at Fairfield Halls.
Oh, you can take it. It'd be great.
And I would like you to perform two from your book. I would like to also give you a stand to sell your books on the day. You'll be sharing the stage with myself, DJ Milkshire, and a few others.
What I'm saying to you, if I can jump out of a plane, you can do it.
It's true.
You know what, just to add to everyone, because it's a free event, I'm going to invite you all if you sign up, but she will be performing live at Fairfield Hall. It's a definite that it will take place. You'll get 5 minutes to rip up the crowd and then sign your book. We're going to ask you to arrive for 6:30.
Okay.
And you'll be on stage before, I think it will be about 7:45.
So think about 8:30.
And their production team are very strict, but because I'm co-organising the event, we've got a 10-minute space, and we'd love you to fill it. And not only that, have a stand where you can sell books. I live to see it when I share the stage with my own cousin. Now, that is mind-blowing. I get to introduce my own cousin on stage. What I'm also asking as well is, because of what we're trying to achieve, the local borough, for those who don't know, we're bankrupt. Croydon are actually a bankrupt borough. And for us, we're trying to reach out and lift the spirits of so many people in Croydon, because we've had serious issues around knife crime. We've got young ladies we've got the highest rate of young ladies of female suicide and attempts of suicide. So the information in this book and what she's just read
will really encourage a young lady that may feel like giving up, that's been through trauma, and that will need to hear something positive or relate to somebody that can relate on their language through poetry. So I think this is an amazing touch, and I'm proud of you. I'm going to be pushing one of your books live on stage as well. So I'll have the book on my hand on stage, and 900 plus people will get the opportunity to hear you live. How do you feel about it? I'm asking you. You'll be all right, and I'm really excited as well. Is there any other poem that you could read for us?
Yeah, why don't you choose one?
All
Pick
right.
through and choose.
Let me look for one here.
Page 26.
Deja vu, let's go through it.
Or has everyone been able to get their books and stuff yet?
Now let's look at deja vu. Actually, you know what? Can I choose one?
Yeah.
This one I think is going to be the most relevant. Lost Mind, page 27. I just looked at the first sentence and I'm done.
That's a proof copy. It's not
So you're trying to give me the road copy?
No. That is the real copy.
So have you got copies that you're selling in Deptford Market or and the rest of Waterstones? Is it like that?
All right, this is Lost Mind. Emptiness has trapped her in a state of depression. She doesn't enjoy life, but she'll fake a smile to avoid questions. Foggy are her thoughts and blank are her expressions. Her mind wanders through the haze, her path removed in all directions. Helpful hands around her neck restrict her determination. Her appeals aren't heard and she gets lost in translation. Words tumble out in the wrong order and there's no penetration to the ear that wants to care but fails to understand her motivations. She blocks out the unknowing mouths who try to referee. Their voices are muddled, it's unbearable, she can't breathe. It's a struggle to break away from the dictatorship she perceives. Her fight to be free is misunderstood, so her heart continues to bleed.
That's the one for Monday.
I want to know how you're going to cope when people start sniffling and all kinds of drama. I genuinely want to know how. Now, is there anyone else in the crowd that's got a question to ask? Go on, Michelle. What's your question?
I have. So, Shade, when you were talking earlier, you were saying that you had a whole collection of work that built up over time, and it sounds to me like you've got different themes throughout the book. What are the key ones that you'd say are present in the book?
I think it's, so for me, I'm an emotional writer. So when I'm in a state of heightened emotion, whether that's sadness, anger, depression, happiness, whatever, I can really feed off that and write. So I would say all of my poetry is quite emotional, emotionally charged. This book is more about sort of different life tribulations, but then I've got another book in the works that's more to do with love, and then the third one is more about is in particular it's about childhood and growing up.
So it's like a trilogy we've got.
It's going to be a trilogy. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I have a question. What would you say to, so you know, in terms of if people were to communicate with you, what would your message be to young women and mothers, young mothers, or young ladies that are dealing with depression, dealing with rejection, dealing with traumas? What would your message be?
To try and find the way that works for you in terms of letting it out and managing it. I'm a big advocate of therapy and speaking to an unknown party, so someone who you don't know. I've been through that myself and it's definitely helped. But this has also been therapy for me. So just finding your outlet, I think is key.
So,
How you doing, cuz?
I'm not too bad yourself.
Yeah, for the team.
It's my place, bro.
Are you your place?
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, bro, I've got to taste your wings first, cuz.
Yeah.
walk through Big Show and all like that. The BBC could have been there in Sky and that. Walk through like an extra. But you know, I like the venue though. I'm gonna be honest, I actually really like the venue. I think I could get a DJ. Go for it.
Can you explain the meaning behind the picture? The picture. In front.
That's a good question.
Yeah. To me, and in my mind, because so it was drawn by an illustrator called Esme Arts on Instagram. But this was in my head, and to me, this is literally life on Venus. So you've got this is the planet Venus. You've got life through the tree, but it's personified as a woman. And to me, that was just it's quite literal.
That's quite powerful. That's actually really powerful.
Yeah.
Has everyone seen the book cover? Some of you lot need to allow the chicken wings and just look at the book for a minute. I see man they're taking the chicken wings to heart, you know. I see man are wiping mouth corner and enjoy themselves. Anyone else? Can I ask? Let me go to Auntie Jazz, the mother of the author here. What's your opinion? Like, you know, you're hearing your daughter speak so well and communicate effectively through poetry. It's really mind blowing. I've watched her on Instagram for months.
Well,
But what's your view? How do you feel about it?
well, earlier on when Sinead was saying, you know, she started off when she was young. And I can testify to that because from primary school, you know, the primary school used to have these little competitions. And, you know, you have to write little poems and stuff and submit them. So, you know, Sinead would take part in things like that. We had, I don't know if a few of you remember the Encyclopedia of Childcraft.
Yeah.
And they had one with maths, different topics, poems was one of them as well. And Sinead used to read those. So from a very early age, I would say that she has been writing. So when she did her degree in that sort of media and creative writing, it wasn't unusual. And we were avid readers in our household anyway. So. Yeah.
So can I ask her, what would your hope be? As a mother, what would your hope be for this book?
I think, as Sinead says, it's an emotional journey in different ways, and as she said, if you can reach a few other people as an outlet and encourage them and inspire them to also perhaps take that avenue in expressing what they feel and how they feel, and if it helps them, I think even if it helps one person,
Absolutely.
I think it would be brilliant.
Natalia, you've been on a journey with your sister.
But there was no pause.
So you've read everything twice. You probably know all of it off by heart.
No. Do you know what? I was gonna say, I'm actually scared to read it. Obviously I'm going to, but I think because it's...
Listen, you see that ring? It's kind of blinding me still. Do you mind turning it? Can you kind of turn the ring back different? You see how she's talking to me? You see the book, yeah?
No, I think because it's such an it was written from different experiences and journeys in Sinead's life. I think for me as a sister, and I don't know about mum, but having that relationship with Sinead and knowing her so deeply anyway, to see this from a different perspective of things that I'm not aware of, and seeing that different vulnerability from a space that I'm not used to or would recognise from the relationship that I have with my sister, I think that's what I'm kind of a little bit anxious about, going deeper and reading deeper, simply because for women anyway our journeys are difficult and emotional, and you know a lot of us have very similar experiences. So it's already hard enough as a woman to deal with the pain that I have to go through, but also to then read about it from someone that's one, very, very close to me, but also it's never nice to hear that another woman is going through the certain things and how they've dealt with it and how they've channeled it. And I think we are very, very opposite, at the same time we're very similar. So Sinead's more of a creative thinker. She puts those on paper, whereas I'm more verbal, so I don't. I just say what's on my mind. I'm not very good at the written part, and that's where we end up. Yeah, but at the same time, that's where we differ. But at the same time, that's where we help each other.
It's compliments,
Yeah, so like when I don't know, when I'm frustrated or when I'm writing essays and stuff, I send it to my sister because she knows what I'm thinking and she puts it into paper. And it's the opposite way around. I know what my sister thinks and how she feels, but I'm the one that's able to articulate it in a better way.
So if she's upset, you can cuss it out, basically. Basically, you're saying that she's upset, you cuss it out,
Yeah.
and when you're vexed, you write it down. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Basically, when I'm emotional, on paper, I don't make sense. So a lot of the time when I'm like writing things, Shade's like, I know what you're trying to say, but it didn't relate like that on the thing. And then with Shade, she can't get the words out. Like, they're, like you said, publicly.
Right.
Whereas I'm like, I know what you're talking about. Like, this is what it is, and I can articulate it better verbally. So that's how we differ and kind of work around it.
I may not have the best conversation with you, but I can write you a really good letter.
I like that. You know why? Because there's some parking ticket that I've got to do.
Let Shade write this thing email, and then I'll go on the phone after. That's how it works. That's how it works.
You landed that nicely.
Yeah. You get in it, yeah. Cool.
Anyone else got any questions before?
What I will say, just to interject, not everything in there is personal to me, and I think it's important that people know that, because there are some themes in there that would be concerning to those who love and support me, who thought that was what I had gone through, but not everything in there is about me. But what I can do sometimes, it's like I'm an empath, so I guess feed off other people's emotions. So it could be a conversation that I've had with somebody else. It could some of these are just, I've seen it on film, like it's a plot line, and it's just resonated with me, and I've written it into that. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there.
Because you know I'll just call you, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
No one there?
Yeah.
You don't know about no one there?
Yeah, well,
exactly. So, but I do feel like that's important to put out, because poetry is personal, but at the same time, the way an actor can portray a character and put the emotion into the scene, I can do that on.
You know something, I've always noticed that about you. No, I'm not being funny. I've always noticed that about you. You can take someone else's, not just trauma, if someone sort of express themselves or, to you, I think you have that ability to sort of walk in their shoe in that moment, and then you can create something from it, but you actually be in the moment with that person, and sometimes it will feel like it's your trauma when it's actually somebody else's trauma.
That's deep.
You are a friend, so does anyone?
That makes sense.
I think sometimes I don't even have to say anything, she knows.
Yeah, so
just
I
message me
think
saying
sometimes
what's
you do
wrong.
take on
Yes.
But there is a thing to say that those that are more sensitive to things can pick up things that normal people can't.
Yeah.
So, if I walk into a room and like the way, just a very small thing, and my sister will be like, "What's wrong?" Or take me to the side and ask me what's wrong. So yeah, I agree with that one.
But what my final question in this part would be, and don't answer it now, answer it in about 10 minutes, we're going to all get a drink or whatever. But my question would be, how could you take what you've written here and what would be your expectations in terms of giving it to different markets? And I can go as far as saying, how do we, because to some people they'd look at you and think an India, Irie kind of style, poetry, naturalist, communicator. But when I think of a couple Polish people who are going through stuff, how would we get you into an environment? I want to look at how could this be relevant to a young Polish child who's 16, 17, who's going through traumas? What would your narrative be to them? What would your story be to them?
Quite simply, I don't think my writing is it's based on emotion, and I guess the facts of that emotion, and not necessarily the cultural background.
Good answer.
It's not based on location. It's not based on skin colour. It's not based on religion. It's based on emotion and feeling, and that's universal.
That's a money answer.
BBC headline.
I was looking at my aunt, because my aunt was looking at me like, oh, there's bugs out there. And then her response was like, whoo.
This is the same. I said, you know, it's like a criminal. They ain't got no collar.
Very true.
You know what I mean?
I'm not a criminal, by the way.
Michelle, you got a question?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up to what you're saying. Would you say that, I mean, I haven't read it yet, but as the author, would you say that it would appeal to genders as well, across the gender lines too? Or
Definitely. Yeah. I think men who maybe want to understand the mind of a woman, perhaps. But you know what? There are as prideful and as strong as men like to appear to be. They are also emotional. You may not see it and they may not show it, but I think they can definitely resonate. Whether or not they choose to admit it is a different story.
Well, they read it. They must have the one that their friends know that they're reading it.
You know what, bro?
It's a nice insight.
You know what, bro? I'm going to give us a 10-minute break, and then I'm going to flip the script, because this part was very nice and professional. The second half, I'm going to ask about the men, how the men will respond to this. Yeah, because so far, it's very relatable to females. And I think for me personally, it may even help me understand females a bit more, because I'm from Mars.
It gives you an insight. It gives you an insight into how a lady think.
But this and more in episode 2, and when we get back to Life on Mars with Sinead.
Hey.
10-minute break, ladies and gents. I love it. Love it.
And though the smile on my face is somewhat genuine, a battle of emotions taking place in my head. And that's just one of the scriptures taken from Life on Venus, which will be available.
It's available now.
Right now.
Right now.
Alright, support the Queen. Alright. Don't just look at her because she's pretty. Support the book.
We're back to the book. I'm really, really impressed with how Sinead's written. I had the opportunity just before Matthew came, just to look at a couple more. I wanted to ask the men's perspective. I wanted to grab the next 10 minutes just to talk to the guys and get your perspective. I'm sure you haven't read the book yet, but the statement of Life on Venus, what does that mean to guys? So when you pick up a book like this, and
We're not welcome.
Huh?
We're not welcome.
You make you feel like you're not welcome. Why though? Why?
It's just, you know,
That's a good answer.
if women run everything, well,
They do.
if they came together and ran everything,
Yeah.
then, do you know what I mean, it won't be a better place, but, you know, I feel like the Venus thing's kind of like the VIP section, you know what I'm saying? Man, they ain't allowed. The Venus.
What I take from that is that women are VIPs, and I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll compliment you. I'll put a little, keep it raw talk, but like, yeah, I just feel, you know, and I'm sure I'll probably read the book and I'll be like, oh, okay, cool, I'm getting a better understanding.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna make me fully understand how women work, because
Bro,
I think
I don't
women
believe
don't.
even Nostradamus and them I don't know.
Right, you see what I'm saying? But knowledge is key in it. If I get a little something like that I can apply it in real time, then I'll be all the better for it, innit? But yeah, Mars is probably where it's at. But
So would you ask her, would you consider asking her to consider the perspective of Mars? Because you don't normally find female authors
from
that speak from an insight on how the man feels about the women from Venus.
Nah, and I think,
get that.
but you can, but I think us guys have been kind of unintentionally programmed to not share too much.
Wow.
Just in the case of it might get thrown back in your face later down the line if this union thing that we have doesn't work out. Saying?
Do you
So,
think, but
yeah.
I'll push back to you, do you think because this book has got some great, and it touches on traumas, and sorry for going too deep for about 10 seconds here, but do you think that some of us men cannot communicate or put our emotions down as poetic from a woman's emotional perspective because of historic cultural traumas?
I think it's down to the individual. As a whole, because I keep hearing it, and I think it's true. But I don't think it's true. I think we have a different way of expressing ourselves. As my boys, they know, and even Sinead knows, that, well, we are able to express ourselves, and we understand what the next person's going through.
You made it coming like the older JLS, you know, just as
we know what each other's going through, and we talk to each other. If there's any kind of issue, we know that we can pick up the phone. And sometimes it's like he will know I have an issue, and he hasn't seen me in a while, you know. And I just feel like sometimes someone's not listening. I'm not saying it's the female, I'm not saying there's just a little communication issue sometimes. That where a man is saying something and a woman is not hearing, or the lady's trying to hear or they hear it in a slightly different way. There's been conversations that I've had where I've expressed myself, and I think I've expressed myself quite clearly. And what I've said has come across twisted now, and I was like, wait, that's not what I meant. That's not even what I said. Why have you heard this?
But do you think that's because you're from Mars and women are from Venus?
I wouldn't.
Different languages.
I think sometimes it's just preconceived, like what they've heard already.
Like you were so ill-intent.
Yeah, it's assumed.
I get what you're saying, because I'm coming to you from a psychodynamic perspective. I get where you're coming from, because there's a oh, you didn't know man do something?
Cousin, you're my family, so
read a lot.
What family, so you must know something.
Readers are leaders out here.
Bang bang.
But from a perspective, for example, let's bring it down to an actualization of a situation. You ask a woman how's her day, half an hour later she's still telling you about her day. You ask a man how his day is, he'll say I'm fine.
Yeah, but you know what?
But in his
Or
fine,
be specific.
look at the cameraman getting involved now. You see how even the word fine, the fine for men means so much. I'll give you another example. Women talk to each other about issues. They do. Like how you've expressed it in the poem. I can't ever envisage any of my guys relating and communicating so articulately and so poetically, because if I say to my guys, fam, how you doing? Man's gonna be like, boy, thing to peak. And they don't need to say nothing more, you know, because that's our language, that's our communication. But you have expressed it in such a unique way, and my question originally to you guys thrown out was, is there ever a day, do we need a book like this as men to try and understand the mind, the psychology of a woman?
Well, I think we need, there's a market space for example, I'm not saying it's got to be exactly like that book, because that book was all kind of madness, but remember when a little indie book come out called 50 Shades of Grey come out, right? It just had every woman and those that are yet to be born's attention.
Yes.
I remember the public transport people like, they had it with them, touching it probably more than their purse.
On the train.
And they were glued to this book.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I kind of want to have a look and see what's got you so like, because some women will be like, like facial expressions. Like you're like, all right, she's hit a saucy bit. I want to read that. I want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Some of them are like their facial expressions in this book. I'm like, bro. And then I was like, it might be sick if like men had a book kind of like that has us just so just so focused in it. I don't think we got that type of book yet. You know what I'm saying? And like, for an example, with what you said about man them talking to each other and all that, sometimes, for an example, my boy here, I remember one day, he was having a bit of a hectic day. I said to him, bro, this time, let's go cinema. I just took him cinema just to take him out of whatever he's going through to give him a free space, right? So I mean, guys probably do it differently to women in regards to like, we'll do it, we won't sit down and go, oh, so what's going on, bro? Talk to me, should I get the kettle on? Like, we won't do it like that. We're doing it a different way because we're meant to follow
It will come out.
Whatever issue we have will come out. We will discuss it. We will discuss it. We discuss, but the difference, I think, like if I'm talking to my boys, they look at it from a logical perspective.
Yes.
So the logical perspective is, I have a problem. How do we solve this problem?
100%.
But the woman from Venus will say, don't you have a heart? What's wrong with you?
No,
Why don't
listen.
you talk?
Earlier on, you touched on saying you're an empath, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how would you regurgitate this information and give it back to us? So we
Wow.
understand it.
Wow. Brilliant question.
No, seriously, in a flowchart. Extremely logical, because my husband's like that. So in his head, when there's a problem, I see like the cogs turning, and there's a series of things he must do to make sure everything's okay. And I envision it like a flowchart. So in his head, like say for instance, if he picks up that I'm annoyed, in his head it's like, Sinead's annoyed. What do I do? Let's try this. Did this work? Yes. Did this work? No. Then we move on to the next level.
Are you battling up, Mark? Listen, are you battling him up like that?
I'm not better than him. That's his logical way of
But it's
thinking.
true.
No, you know what I like?
It's
No, but how would you give it back to us, the man, them, innit?
Yeah, that's it.
Me,
Yeah.
I think it's because he's Ghanaian, he's quite like thingy like that. You see Jamaican man, yeah? Us Jamaican man, you see all this programming and logic. Yeah, we kind of got no time for that. Like, not like that.
One in the
Jamaica
flow.
have no
Yeah,
time for nothing.
Just tell us where we've gone wrong. Don't tell me let's talk later. Tell us where we've gone wrong. Yeah, because you know what women do from Venus? They mess up a man's day, yeah? If a woman says to you at 10 o'clock in the morning, can we talk later? Yeah?
No,
It messes up a man's day.
I don't want to talk later. Talk to me now. Why do we have to talk later?
have you sorted your
I agree. Why can't we talk now?
Because you have to digest things before you say out verbally.
But you've not probably been planning the night before.
No, you ladies have been planning it for last month.
Say nothing. I know this is all banter, right?
Yes.
But in the banter, you sometimes see certain truths.
The truth and jest, yes.
And I think we need to just listen to each other. I think we need to find a common ground. We need to find an understanding. I think with my partnership, we tend to find a common ground most times. Not all the time, but most times we'll find a common ground. And I think the one thing that we've lived by is not going to bed angry with the next person.
Wow.
And that's the one piece of advice that we got from our wedding day that we live by. Because if I'm upset by bedtime, by the time, because we have lots of kids. So
they have a couple.
we've got 6.
Wow.
So by the time everybody's gone to bed and it gets to 10 o'clock,
Plus other people.
that's me and Nikki. Yeah, we're thick in our community. We're thick in our community. So if children will just turn up at our house and stay over, it's fine. That's how we are. But by the time it comes to 10 o'clock, that's mine and 9:30 is supposed to be mine and Nikki's time. So regardless of who's in the front room or whatever, they're going. And we know that by 9:30, any issue that we had throughout the day with each other or outside has to be discussed before we go to sleep.
I love that. How long have you been married?
3 years. Been
And how long
together
hold on.
8, 9 years.
Hold on, bro. How long have you been married?
3 years.
How long have you been happy married?
Since we got married, we've been happy.
I like that.
Together. Then, obviously, there's other outside stuff. that
Give or
we're
take
angry
11
about,
years.
But together, there's never been a time where I said, you know what, I'd rather be somewhere else. You know, and I think it's because the partnership works. I have someone that complements, like makes up for my shortfalls. So
it's just support as well. He's so supportive of everything that I'm doing, and then what we're doing together. We've kind of got a common vision, and then communication.
So do you think that in the collegiality, the camaraderie that you both have, do you think that that's because at times as men we have to step into the psychology of a woman. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
to step into their mind space. We have to step onto
Oh,
Venus.
Definitely, because the flip has been, I'm a stay-at-home dad at the moment.
Okay.
So, all the emotions that Nikki would have been feeling at some point, I'm now dealing with it. And I'm thinking, and for me, it's like, for me, it comes out as anger because, and that's how everybody sees it. They see it as being aggressive. While I'm frustrated, they see it as being aggressive.
So you with the kids all day?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
He does the mummy stuff.
That's why I'm great.
Hi Shade, I am so super proud of you. I know this has been a long time in the making and you did it! You're doing it! You are fabulous. So, you know, get that doubt and that fear out. You're doing it. One step, next step. You're great. I'm very happy and excited to see what comes next. Well done.
I'm so proud of you. Your first book, you should be so proud. Honestly, I can't wait to read it. You've done phenomenal so far. I'm so glad that it's actually here and that we finished, and well, but you finished the project. But honestly, sis, I'm honestly so proud of you. So keep going. I can't wait for books number 2 and 3. And like I said, when you hit JK Rowling status, I will be selling the first one, so I will need 2. Cool.
Hi Shade, you know who it is. I just wanted to say how proud I am of you. I know you've been wanting to do this for years. As I said to you earlier today, I'm really proud because I know how much you've wanted to publish this book and how much you've been writing, and obviously you sent me poems in the past and they've been amazing. So I just want you to keep doing your thing and don't let anyone stand in your way. I'm really happy for you for Monday to be able to stand up in front of 900 people. You'll be absolutely fine. If not, to take another shot. But yeah, really proud of you and always here to support you, and yeah.
Congratulations today on your book launch. We're here today to celebrate you. The book is amazing and I can't wait to read it.